In this video, I'll show you how to use a multimeter to actually track back where your wires are going for 5 different ignition switch. This is my 3-wire switch. So at the beginning, I'll just put my multimeter to the continuity test. And I'll touch my 2 lead to make sure that it works. So now when my switch is off, I'll just test every single wire here. And I'll just rotate to make sure I touch them all. So now at this point, I know that when the switch is off, there's nothing going on the switch. So now I'll turn it right here and I'll do the same test. I'll test the green and white, green and red, and the last one will be the white and red. That now I have continuity. So on my plan right beside me, I'll just put the dot that I'll show you right after. But now when I'm on accessories, the red and white are touching. So now I'll do the same test here, but at the start position. So put my 2 lead. So now the white and green are touching. I'll do the same test here between the green and red. So that those two are touching also. And the last one will be the white that we already knew was touching on the accessories. And I've got the same result right here. So now when I'm on the start position, all those wires are actually touching with each other. So now I'll just show you the plan in a second. So now this is the plan I did. So in my case, I only draw a line across. So when I'm on the off position right here, there's no wire touching. So there's no dot anywhere. When I put the switch to on or accessories, the red and whites are touching. And when it's at the start position, all 3 wires. That's why I put those dots. So now at this point, I know that when my switch here, the red and whites are touching, so that white one will go to the CDI or power your machine. And at the start position, I've got the red, the green, and white. So now the green here is the only one when I'm on the start position. So the green will be my starter because those two are exactly the same. So at this point, when I turn to start position, the red one in my case will be the positive from the battery. The green will be the start, so we'll go through the starter. And the white here will go to the CDI. When I release my key to the on position after the start, the white needs to still have power on it because I want my CDI to still have power. Otherwise, the machine will stop. If you backtrack and you would put the CDI on the start here, what happens is when you'll put it back to the on position, there's no connection here. So the CDI will stop. Now I'll show it to you, but on actually a visual way that will make it easier to see. Here's a little board that I just did to actually show. So I have to dim the light just a bit. So now here's what's happening. So the black wire here is actually my ground. So all those lights here are set to ground. On the other side here, that's where my power is coming in. So in this case, the red LED is on because I've got the power coming from this here, going through the resistor just to drop the power for now, which is not really important in this case, and turn on the light. So at this point, I also need the red here that goes across to go to this red here. Let me just move it just a little bit, and that will go to my switch. Let's zoom. Like this, it will be better. So now the power is coming here and go to the switch. The power out will be the white and green as we showed before. So now I put the white here with the yellow LED and the green with the green LED. So now if I turn my switch here to the on position, the yellow LED turned on. So now my power is coming from here across, going through the switch, and come back from the white one and give me power. So in this case, just imagine that your yellow light is actually all your accessories on your machine. And that will be the CDI, your light, your turn signal, anything that required power. Because at the point when you turn your switch off, you actually want to disable that power so the machine doesn't have power on it and will kill your battery. So at this point, I've got this one. And now if I put it to the start position, the green light turns on, like so. So in this case, the power is coming in, the red one, going through the switch, bring back the power to the white and also the green one. And that's why I say the start position is this one here, because your LED turns on. So the green LED, it will only be your power to your starter. That will be it. All the other connection would go to the white wire. So for my next test, what I've got right here. So this one is a 3-screw one, similar to the 3-wire one we just did, but this one just say 1, 2, and 3. So let's check this one with the multimeter and see what's happening. So the first thing, I'll take my switch off, make sure it's off right here, and I'll touch all those screw around. And I've got nothing. So the next step, I'll turn the switch to the on position and I'll check 1 and 2 that I've got a contact and I've got nothing here. So now it's going to get challenging. So I'll force the switch and I'll do the same test, like so. So now I've got power here, here, and there. So that means this switch is the same principle as the one we just did. So I'll make the plan again and show you the result. So this is my result. When I turn the key to on, I've got 1 and 2 that were actually touching. When I put it to start, all wires were touching. So it's the same principle as the switch we just did before. So now 1 and 2 here. So in my case, I would take number 1 because it's easy to remember. So the battery plus goes to number 1. The accessories, my lights, CDI, and everything on my machine will go to number 2. And the starter here, because I only have power here when it's at the start position. So that's the logic. And that's how you can trace back your wire. So now I'll show it to you again with the LED. Same principle as before. The ground here is going across all those legs at the bottom. And on this side here, I've got the positive coming here, going along. So now it jump here to turn on my light, just to show me that I actually have the power coming in. I've got the power here going through my switch to number 1. I've got this one here coming to number 2, and the starter, who's actually my green LED now, who's coming here. So now I'm at the off position. If I turn it on, my yellow light turns on, and when I put it to the start, the green light turns on. Soon I release, it stops. So same principle again. The green light is my starter, who's number 3 on the switch. So now when I turn the key, starter spin, remove the key, starter stops spinning, but I still have all the power going to the accessories. It's the exact same principle as the switch we just did before. It's just different in the back. So as long as you enumerate which wire goes where, and you test it with your continuity, you should have the same result and you'll be able to actually backtrack which wire goes where. This switch here is a little bit different. So now when I put the key, if I go one way back, that will be my accessories, off. I've got the on position, and I've got the start. So there's 4 positions on this switch. So let's check how this one works and how it will line up. So this switch is a little bit different. This one, they actually show you where the wire belong. If you check, this one's the B for battery. This one will be start, ignition, and this one, hard to read, but it's a ECC. So in my case, I already know, but I'll still make the test just to make sure that I understand the behavior of that switch. So at this point, my switch is at the off position, and I'll do the same thing again. Test my lead. Test every single one clockwise. So those two are touching right now at the off position, and that will be the ACC and the ignition. So now I put the switch at the back position, the one that we saw earlier when you go left, and I'll do the same test again. Nothing. Oh, the accessory has something, and I'll do the same thing here. So now the only connection I have, it's between the battery and the accessories. So now I move it to the position, the first click to the right, and I'll do the same thing. Test the battery, nothing here. Oh, I've got something on the ignition. I've got something here. This, nothing. And those ones are touching. So now I've got power coming from here to there, from here to here, and those two are also touching. So I'll just take note on that one on my plan, and I'll be back in a second. So now for my last test, I have to hold it. So in my case, I just print something. I'll just turn it and slide it in, and I'll do the same test. So now it just make it easier for me with 2 hands. So now I've got the battery here. I've got something on the start. I've got something on the ignition. Oh, and I've got nothing on the accessories. So now I'll test this one, same thing. Nothing here. And this one and that one, nothing. So now I'll just reproduce it on the plan and show you in a second. So here's what we have. So now when I turn the key to accessories, I've got the battery coming here and give power to the accessories, will be all my lights. When I'm on the off position, the accessory and the ignition are connected together. In our case, that means the battery and everything that need to start your machine are connected together, so there's nothing happening actually. When I turn the key to ignition, will be the first click to the right. Now I've got the battery, the accessories, and the ignition working. So that will be required when the machine is actually running. So now you'll start it, and when the key goes back here, the accessories and the ignition, so all your light and everything required to run the engine will actually keep the power. When I'm on the start position here, I've got the start, I've got the battery coming here, ignition, and the starter. So if you notice, it actually removed the accessories. So that means when it's on the start position, the lights will turn off and give actually more power to ignition and start. So it's a clever way to actually send the power from the battery, the ignition, and start without getting the light involved. So it gives you more power for those two, and soon you put it back to the ignition as I show here. the light will turn on. In this case, the battery plus will go with the 12 volt from the battery. The accessories will be your light. The ignition will be the CDI and anything related with the ignition. So if you have an ECU or any computer that will power that, and the starter will be the starter. So at this point it gets a little bit more busier, but I took the power here. Same thing again, it goes across and it connects to this one and bring the power here to the switch. I took the start here and bring it back to the green light because that's the one we've been using since the beginning. I've got the ignition right here coming to the yellow light, but now I've got one more will be here, the accessories, going back here and bring this light. So now if I back up the switch, the accessories, so that will be all my lights and everything related with radio, light, turn signal if they turns on. Because at this point, that means I'm just sitting on the side of the road or the trail, so I don't need the ignition actually on at this point. If I turn the key to the off position, now when I turn it to the accessories, it's also the first click, now I'll get the CDI and everything related with the engine that will be on. My lights will be on, but you will see soon I turn it to the start position. The only thing I keep to start the machine is actually both the battery, the ignition, and the start. But you see, this one turn off. So all the lights on the machine will turn off. And soon I put it back, so now it will, the starter will stop spinning here and it will turn on my light. It's just a way to save power and focus the power when you need it. So for this switch, I have a black white, I've got a yellow white, black, red, and green. So now I'm at the off position and I'll do the same thing again. Just go clockwise and test everything. So now I've got black, white, and green touching. And the last one, and I've got nothing. So in this case, I only have the black, white, and green touching. So now I'll put it to the on position or the accessories, do the same thing again. I've got nothing. Now I've got black and red and nothing. So at this point, to help me out, I just put the switch to the start position and I just put electrical tape around it just to keep it easier for me. But I'll do the same thing again. Test every single one and check where I have power. Oh, so now I have something between the yellow, white, and the black. Same thing here with the black and red, and nothing here. So I'll update my plan and show it to you in a second. So this is my plan for the 5-wire switch. When the switch is at off, the green and the black and white are touching. So the green will be the ground of your machine, and this one would send the signal to the pickup coil to actually short it so it doesn't send the signal to the CDI. When I'm on the ignition, I've got the red and black connecting together. When I'm on the start, I've got red, black, and yellow, white. So now for resume, so the battery will be the red, the accessories will be black, and the starter will be yellow and white. At this point, your machine will start. When you put it back to the ignition right here, when the key goes back, you've got the red and black. That will give you power. When you turn it off, green and black and white connect together just to send the signal to the CDI. So this is what I've got right now. So now I reproduce my plan. I've got my red here that's coming from the battery, supplying power to the switch. My yellow goes back to my yellow light here, will be accessories. The green wire will be the start. And those two here, if you notice, those two on top right here, that's the one that give me the ground right here. So now I reverse my LED. So the LED's power with here, the positive coming here, but I disconnect the ground. So now at this point when the switch is off, like right now, I've got the key right here, the switch here. It connects those two. My red light's still powered by my battery. When I turn it on, it will turn off this light and it will turn on my accessories, so supplying the CDI or any ECU you have. But if you notice, as I turn, for the start position, the yellow turned off and it turned back on. So now I've got the start position here. As long as I hold the key, the starter will spin. Soon I release the key. I've got my power that's still on. The blue light is still off, was actually good, because right now I don't want the CDI to get short with the pickup coil. So I want it to receive the signal. When I turn it off, the light turns back on. Here's another 5-wire switch that I do have here. So now I'll do the same test again. Off. And I'll test every single one the same way that I've been doing since the beginning. I just want to know if there's anything touching between all those wires. So at the off position, I don't have anything. So now my key switch is at accessories, and I'll do the same test again, going around and test all my wire. So now I've got something between the black and the green. Same thing between the red and the brown. Nothing there. And nothing there. So now I'm at the start position and I'll do the same test again. I've got green, red with black, that connect. Red, I've got nothing. Brown, nothing. And I've got something between green, red, and the green. Nothing here. Nothing there. I've got black and green together. I've got red and brown. Nothing there. And nothing here. So I'll update my plan and show you in a second. So this is what I've got off. I don't have anything connected anywhere. When I put it to ignition, the black and green are touching and the red and brown are touching, but they're independent. They're not touching here anywhere. So when I'm on the start position, I've got the black, green, and green, red. And I also have the red and brown also. Again, there's nothing touching here. So now if I go back, my battery will be black. And if you notice since the beginning, we've been using red. So that's why checking your wire is actually a good thing, because we would have assumed that the red here, but actually it's not, it's something else here. So the accessories are green here. As you can see, when I'm on ignition and start, the green connect with the black, and the starter will be green-red. In this case, for those two, I already know where the switch is from, and on that machine, they're actually using the regulator to also send power to the machine. So now when you start the machine on the battery, you only have power here. As the machine starts, it feeds the red to the brown, and the brown connect with the machine to actually kind of double your power, but give you a more accurate input. So as you do your switch, just make sure, because right now, black is the new plus 12. So that's something that you should be careful, and that's why you should always check your switch before you do anything. So for my last test, so now I've got my red coming here, going through the red. As I stated earlier, it goes through the black. After that, I've got my accessories here, going right there. I've got the starter here, who's my green, coming right here. The red is going around right here on the ground. And I've got the black coming here on this side of the diode. So now if I'm wrong, I've got two connections here going to this switch that are actually ground. And I've got the other side here that is positive. If I'm wrong, when I showed the plan earlier, when I'll turn the switch, it would short this side with this side. But because they're independent, they won't short. So now let's just zoom it a bit right here. So now I've got my switch here, it's at off. I'll turn it, and there you go. Accessories, I've got the blue light and the yellow light turning on. When I turn it to the start position, the green turn on. And when I release, the starter will stop, and I still have power on the blue and the yellow. So that's why I say those two are independent. If I did have positive on both sides, and I use positive and negative, I would have short those two and some disaster would have happened. So just make sure that you study your plan and you do it the same way I did it, and you won't have any issue. This is the part one of the video. So far we saw a 3-wire switch, like this one here. Another 3-wire switch, who's actually the same thing as this one. I have a 4-wire, 5-wire, and a 5-wire. All of those behave differently, and you probably have the same with your machine. So now if I tell you that I could eliminate those switch and just use a relay like this one, take one of those that are easy to find and retrofit any of the other switch. So that will be in the part 2 of the video. So subscribe, like, share, comment, and if you have any question, put them in the comment section. Thanks.